Right now, the race for Wisconsin governor continues to grow as another candidate throws their hat into the ring. Plus, a look at how lawmakers are calling on leaders to turn down the heated political rhetoric in response to the murder of Charlie Kirk. This is News 3 Now at noon. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Arman Rahman. Josh will be back tomorrow. Well, we start with Oregon police asking for help in finding a missing 17-year-old girl believed to be with an older man. Cadence Lee was last seen Friday in the village of Oregon. She is described as 5'2", wearing black yoga pants and a long-sleeved gray shirt that has a headquarters logo on it. The man, described to be in his 30s or 40s, has black hair, a mustache, and a sleeve tattoo on one of his arms. According to law enforcement, he drives a dark green 2015 to 2017 Chevy SUV. Police believe Cadence's most recent possible sighting was Sunday around 4:30 p.m. at the Goodwill located at East Spring Drive in Madison. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is asked to call the Oregon Police Department at 608-835-3111. Shifting to politics now, another prominent Democrat now running for governor. State Senator Kelda Roys is launching her campaign to become the next head of state. Senator Roys serves the state's 26th district, the Madison area. This marks her second time running for governor, the first being in 2018. Before that, she served in the state assembly from 2009 to 2013. She then opened a small business after the term. In 2021, voters elected her to the Senate. She is the third high-profile Democrat to enter the race. Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez and Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley are also in. As for Republicans, Waukesha County Executive Josh Schoeman and Milwaukee area businessman Bill Berrien are also in. The primary election will be on August 11th. The man suspected in the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk is due to make his first appearance in court tomorrow as investigators try to learn what motivated the shooting at Utah Valley University last week. The suspect, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, is a former high school honor student who grew up in Utah. State records show the alleged gunman was registered as unaffiliated and did not vote in 2022 or 2024. According to a probable cause affidavit, a roommate showed law enforcement messages allegedly from the suspect that mentioned leaving a rifle in a bush wrapped in a towel, which is similar to how investigators describe finding the murder weapon. In a statement, Discord said it had not found any evidence that the suspect planned Kirk's assassination on their platform. And as remembrances continue for Kirk, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say they're concerned about their safety and that it's time to address the radicalization of people online. CBS News has confirmed the Trump administration is asking Congress for $58 million to increase executive and judicial branch security following Kirk's assassination and supports more funding to protect lawmakers. Republican Senator James Lankford and Democrat Chris Coons appeared together on Face the Nation to call for less divisive and more respectful dialogue.
We're keenly aware that there are people that are irrational, that do irrational acts.
The internet is an accelerant. It is driving extremism in our country. It's driving us apart, left and right.
The senators also want Congress to revisit proposed legislation to protect young people from dangerous online content. And a 68-year-old woman is in custody after police find several Great Danes stuffed in a van in deplorable conditions. Officers responded to a welfare check for dogs in distress near Midtown shortly before 4 p.m. Saturday. There they found 7 Great Danes inside of a van. The dogs were allegedly left in the vehicle since about 10:30 in the morning. 2 of the dogs were dead at the scene, while 4 others were taken to an emergency vet clinic. 3 had to be euthanized. A 5th dog was initially put into another person's care and had to be taken to the vet, where it collapsed. No word on its condition. The woman is tentatively charged with 5 felony counts of mistreatment of animals causing death and 2 counts of mistreatment of animals. Turning to weather now, let's check the first one forecast with meteorologist Jacob Montesano. The summer-like conditions continue, Jacob.
Yeah, and this is going to be the case for the next couple of days as well. Right now, we're in the middle to lower 80s for most of the region, a few upper 70s here and there. And taking a look outside, this is a view from Platteville, showing quite a bit of sunshine, but also a few clouds. However, most of the cloud cover is to the west of Madison near Platteville. Not seeing any rainfall for most of the region, just a few very light showers near the Mississippi, and even a few thunderstorms just to the west of Wisconsin across Iowa and Minnesota. But these are expected to stay off to the west. The western portion of our area could see some of these showers, but for the most part, we are expected to be dry with plenty of sunshine, especially for Madison and areas to the east. Highs in the middle to lower 80s across the region, maybe lower 70s for places to the east, but certainly above normal and summer-like. And as we take a look at the normal high, it is supposed to be 73. We're going to be right around 84, and the low today is right around 60. So the low temperature and the high temperature about 10 degrees above normal for this time of the year. Overnight lows will drop back to near 60, so the temperatures remaining above normal in that department. And for tomorrow, it's going to be kind of a rinse and repeat forecast of today with a lot of sunshine and those highs back in the middle to lower 80s. But I'll talk more in detail about when these warm temperatures will come to an end of that a little bit later.
I really hope never is the answer.
I hope it's soon, actually,
I know
because I'm not a
Jacob.
fan of these warm temperatures. But if you are, definitely soak this up because 80s will be kind of few and far between once we get towards the end of the 10-day forecast.
All right, Jacob, thank you. And still ahead for News 3 Now at noon. If you have a question or concern about your plants or garden, now is the time to send us your questions via email to tips@channel3000.com. Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company joins us later in the broadcast with the answers. And coming up next, we'll see which films finished on top of the weekend box office. Plus, why some batches of vegan pastas are being recalled.
Foods is recalling some batches of its vegan is believe-in plant-based white cheddar, and here comes truffle cheddar pastas. The FDA warns the product's labels do not alert consumers that those flavors may contain milk or cashews, respectively, which could cause a severe or life-threatening reaction for people with dairy or nut allergies. Consumers can return the recalled pastas to the place of purchase for a refund. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle made history at the domestic weekend box office, becoming the first Japanese anime to debut at the top spot after raking in an estimated $70 million. Horror sequel The Conjuring Last Rites nabbed the second spot with $26 million, and period film Downton Abbey The Grand Finale rounded out the top three, bringing in more than $18 million. And whether you root for the Crimson Tide, the Wolverines, or the Buckeyes, today after 5 p.m., Chipotle is offering buy one, get one free entrees to all football fans who wear college jerseys to participating locations. The deal is limited to 5 free items per check and must be claimed in person. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
And here's a look at Wall Street right now. The Dow Jones down about 4 points, the NASDAQ up 176, and the S&P 500 up 29. Well, Pam has the ag numbers up next, plus Jacob comes back with the forecast. Then later on Live at 4, the Beacon Homeless Shelter unveils a new window mural designed by local and guest artists. Welcome back. Let's check in now with Farm Bay Pam Yankee for your Midwest Farm Report. How you doing, Pam?
Let's talk a little bit about little bit of a dust-up between the Wisconsin Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection and our livestock marketers across the state. Right now, Department of Ag is proposing some very substantial increases in licensing fees for the livestock markets where farmers sell their livestock, for the truckers that move their livestock, as well as for those that buy their livestock. Some in the amount of 1,666% increase. Now, imagine if you got a household bill that escalated that quickly in a matter of a year and you had to have it. That's what they're talking about now. The reason I bring this up is obviously cattle producers, the livestock yards, truckers, anybody in the livestock industry should be paying attention to this, and your voice should be heard. Tomorrow and Wednesday, the Department of Agriculture will have their second and third hearings on this issue. They are holding it both live and virtual, but they have had issues with the virtual side of these conversations. So I want to encourage anybody in Wisconsin that markets, even you kids that are involved in 4-H and FFA, if you are marketing livestock through, for example, to the Equity Co-op locations, Fenimore, Milwaukee Stockyards, they're all going to be impacted with these increases per yard per location if they go into effect. So we need a unified voice of some common sense. If you saw your bill go up more than double, like I said, 1,666%, you'd probably have something to say about it. Well, use your voice. Here are the at least the phone number that you can call if you want to get involved with this live or virtual. I'm sorry that the phone number, I can't see the phone number, maybe you can, but it's Tuesday and Wednesday starting at 1. You can be at the Wisconsin Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection in Madison for the face-to-face, or you can also join virtually. Equity Livestock has information on their website as well, equitycoop.com. There we go. Or you can also check the Wisconsin Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection website. But again, I don't ask for your attention often on these kind of matters, but boy, I'll tell you, whether you market sheep, hogs, cattle, dairy, you're going to be impacted if these go into effect. All right. Markets are paying attention to the beautiful weather that we've got around the upper Midwest and specifically Wisconsin, and the harvest is starting to unfold. We'll get the latest crop update later this afternoon. I'll have that for you tomorrow here on News 3. But I think we can all agree so far things are going very, very well, not only with corn silage harvest, but also as we look at planting things like winter wheat and some of our cover crops. Dairy markets today in Chicago, the fluid milk contracts have actually turned around since earlier this morning. Our nearby October contract, the last I looked, up about 14 cents a hundredweight. The dairy product prices today, a little bit more iffy. Barrel cheese is unchanged. 40-pound block cheese up a quarter today at 161 3/4. The AA butter, though, still on the skids, losing another 4 cents today at $1.82 per pound. But again, Amon, as I've said, I really encourage anybody in Wisconsin's livestock industry, whether you're a support mechanism or actually marketing your livestock, be involved in this conversation. Things are happening very, very rapidly at the Department of Agriculture, and I don't want this one to get away from them.
Definitely, Pam. Good thing to keep an eye on. Thank you so much. All right, turning now to our weather. Temperatures staying hot for most of the week. Jacob now with the forecast.
Thanks, Armand. We are going to see those 80s for highs for the next couple of days, but then rain is expected towards the end of the week, and that will lead to more seasonable temperatures once we get to the weekend with highs back in the 70s. Now, looking at the current radar, not seeing anything for most of southern Wisconsin. There are some showers and storms to the west of Wisconsin across northeast Iowa and parts of Minnesota as well. Now, this also is impacting northwest Wisconsin, but this is expected to stay to the west and northwest of our area. We are going to remain dry. Now, those of you near the Mississippi River definitely could see a few of these isolated showers, maybe some pop-up storms, but most of the area almost certainly going to be dry, especially for Madison and places to the east. Tomorrow we'll have a very similar forecast. A lot of more cloud cover the further west you're located. Small chance of some isolated showers. Sunny and dry for Madison and areas to the south and east. Now, once we get to Wednesday, we'll see a little bit more rain in general to the west across Iowa and Minnesota and also northern Wisconsin. But southern Wisconsin stays mostly dry still. But areas far off to the north and far to the west in our viewing area still could see some of these showers on Wednesday and Thursday as well. Once again, Madison still not expect to see much rain for Thursday, although the clouds will definitely increase. Once we get to Friday, that rain will start to move closer to our area, still mostly impacting places to the west on Friday, but then Friday into Saturday is when it will move across the rest of our area, bringing in some showers, maybe a few thunderstorms, but mostly the rain will be in the form of showers. And this rain is expected to continue for most of the weekend. Now, we're not expecting constant rain nonstop, but the chance of rain will be there pretty much all weekend, which will lead to conditions not very pleasant, and then it also will cool down those temperatures, like I mentioned, kind of clearing out late Sunday, maybe some lingering rain Monday. Now, despite the fact that we could be seeing rain for quite a long period of time, because the rain is going to be very light, we're not expecting a big rainfall event. Total rainfall accumulation will be around a ½ inch for Madison, a little bit more to the west as there are some better chances of rain in general. Now, before all that rainfall, we're still going to see those warm temperatures. So looking at the forecast for today, this afternoon, lower 80s, plenty of sunshine. Very similar forecast for tomorrow, middle to lower 80s. Once again, plenty of sunshine. Wednesday and Thursday will feature a little bit more cloud cover, but Madison should stay dry as those temperatures do remain in the 80s. Small chance of rain, but most of the rain will stay to the west and to the north for Wednesday and Thursday. Friday is when the rain becomes a little bit more likely. And then for Saturday, that's right now the best chance of rain as those temperatures do cool down into the lower 70s, and 70s will continue for the end of the 10-day forecast with drier weather starting next work week. So like I mentioned earlier, soak up these 80s if you enjoy them, because we are going to see that shift for the weekend. And I would expect to not see many other 80-degree days afterwards.
All right, Jacob, thank you. And up next, Howard shows us a new twist to buffalo wings in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
A few months ago, I was having lunch at the original birthplace of buffalo wings, the Anchor Bar in Buffalo. While I was eating, I was thinking not only how popular these spicy wings are, but how much we love anything cooked with the taste of buffalo wings. Everything from soups to dips, even side dishes. To make this one, all we do is toss a head of cauliflower that we cut into florets with some oil and a little salt and pepper. Once that's mixed, onto a baking sheet it goes, and we'll bake it off until the edges start to get crispy. Don't be afraid to let them sort of caramelize, because that's what gives these a ton of flavor. While that cooks, we'll whip up a sauce to coat these with, which is the same sauce that Teresa and Frank whipped up in their Anchor Bar kitchen some years ago. Once the cauliflower is done, all we do is toss it with the buffalo sauce. Then onto a platter they go, topped with some crumbled blue cheese, and we have the taste of buffalo wings in a side dish that is second to none. You gotta go online and get the recipe for what we call buffalo cauliflower, so you can be armed with a new go-along that your gang will go along with. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we're looking for a classic way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
All right, and ahead here at noon, Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company here answering your plant and garden questions. Email those to tips@channel3000.com and we'll get the answers next. All right, well, Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company is here to answer your plant and garden questions. You can always email those to tips@channel3000.com. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us on this
You're welcome.
very, very pleasant day today.
It is a pleasant day.
Yes.
I could stand it to be a little cooler, but it's not terrible.
There we go. Perfect day to garden. And
Yes,
Robin is
indeed.
out there. She wants to know if she can transplant her peonies now, or does she have to wait till they turn brown? And if not transplanting, can she trim them back?
So best time to transplant peonies is really in this time of year, so early September. You can definitely, I wouldn't cut them back just yet, unless they're all sort of fungusy, but cut them back, or I'm sorry, dig them out. You can split them if you need to, and then put them in the ground and use a starter fertilizer like a root hormone or a rooting stimulator so that they get the roots done. The other thing you'd want to do is hold off on putting down any mulch until the ground is frozen, because you want the freeze and thaw cycle to not heave them out of the ground. So don't mulch them quite yet. Put them in the ground, fertilize them with a root stimulator, and then after the ground is frozen, then you can put down some mulch, some bark mulch. So put a bag in your garage so it won't freeze.
There we go. Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Shirley asks, how do you prune a climbing rose for winter? I just learned what that was.
Yeah, so there are roses that just have very long canes. Those are the very long branches, and they get very tall. And they are called climbing roses, although they don't climb on their own. You have to attach them. Not like a vine where it's gonna sort of twirl around a structure. So it depends on what kind of rose you have. If it is one of the newer varieties, it's more than likely very winter hardy, and it's on its own roots, so in which case you just let it go, and then in the spring, when it starts to bud out, you cut out anything that died. If it's an older climbing rose, what they used to do is take them off the structure that they're climbing on, tip them over onto the ground, and then mulch them to protect it. But more than likely, her climbing rose is newer and does not require that kind of intervention.
Okay. And then a last question I think we have here for now is from Jane. I have several very small hydrangea that I planted in pots outside this summer. I intend to replant them in my garden, but if I can't get the time, could I bring them inside in their pots for the winter?
Well, really, hydrangeas, garden hydrangeas will not do well in indoors during the winter. They need a dormancy period to develop those flower buds. So best thing to do is to get them into the ground and soon. And again, you'd want to use a root stimulating fertilizer to get them really going. If you can't get them into the ground, then best thing to do is to put them like in your garage, especially if it's unheated, on an interior corner. You can leave them in their pots there and then make sure that they get watered every couple of weeks to keep them alive, and then take them back outside when the weather gets nice.
Okay. We got a last minute question. How deep should I plant magic lily bulbs, Doris asked.
Okay, so I'm assuming she's talking about surprise lilies, also called naked ladies or resurrection lilies.
Oh, this is a family show.
This is a lily that sends leaves up in the spring, then it dies back, and then later in the summer, just the naked stem comes up with the flower at the top with no foliage. Huh. And now is about the time that you'd be planting them, and what you would want to do would be to plant them pretty deep. I'd say 6 to 8 inches deep, and put down some bone meal or some bulb fertilizer to get them going.
Awesome. Lisa, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today on News 3 Now at noon. Next up, Bold and the Beautiful. Our next newscast obviously at 4, and you can always catch us streaming on channel3000.